I'm Brittany Harris. This is Beyond the Sketch, and I've got Dashaun Bryant here with me. He's the #1 hustler. I'm a hustler, baby. I just want you to know.
If you didn't know, it ain't where I've been, but where I'm about to go. Amen.
Where he's about to go. So can you tell us more about Roof Hustlers and even how you got started?
First and foremost, I'd like to say thank you for having me on the podcast. It's always an honor and a privilege and a pleasure to cross-pollinate networks, right? And it's dope because we just met in such a serendipity way, just like having to be in the same vicinity, didn't know about each other prior, and then boom, now we're here. But so Roof Hustlers itself is, I'm a door-to-door sales coach. I fly around the country and I coach and train door-to-door sales teams. Been in the roofing industry for 10 years. We've been on the road coaching and training for about 6.5, going on 7 years. Cause my daughter just turned 8, started Roof Hustlers, but like 5 days before she was born. So, it all inspired from me being in the roofing industry, the training being very watered down. I kind of got in the industry, like they took me out for 2 days and then there's like, you got it. So, you know, luckily I was a natural when it comes to talking. Didn't really know much about sales, but just love people. So I'm out there doing my thing, selling, closing deals, making money, right? Just all pure charisma. And then about 2 years into the game, I knock on this dude's door. I sell him. And he's like, man, you really good. Who your coaches? Who your trainers? And I'm like, nobody. Just really God-given talent. I don't really idolize no man like that. And he told me, go home, look up this guy named Grant Cardone. Go home, look up Grant Cardone. It went from 30 minutes to 3 hours, just like deep research. And he said something that changed my life. He said, every industry got a gap in it. If you can close the gap, you'll make a lot of money. And it just clicked in my head. I said, the roofing industry suck at training. Like, I can't be the only guy that got took out for 2 days and they told him he got it. So what we did was we created a YouTube channel to make sure everybody that get into the roofing industry after me never went through the struggles, the mishaps, or the lack of training that I went through. So we created a YouTube channel to make sure people can actually capitalize on this beautiful industry so they can actually change the trajectory of their families and make the money that's possible in this industry instead of like losing out on a great opportunity due to people not providing great coaching. That was in 2017 when we started this. First company booked me in 2020, kept building momentum. I did 10 trainings my first year, 30 trainings my second year, did about 35 my third year, landed a deal with GAF. They flew me all around the country, and now we train roofing companies, marketing companies, restoration companies, just all types of people because we're big on principles, not necessarily like the roofing door-to-door thing. That's just what we do. And we just bring those principles and those concepts to this industry.
Speaking of concepts, there was one concept that stood out to me that you speak on, which is extreme ownership. Can you tell us a little bit more about how extreme ownership applies in your training?
Yeah, so a lot of people, well, most people know that book was wrote by Jocko Willink, phenomenal author. It's about just, being a good leader from the top to the bottom. But when I talk about extreme ownership, I mean for a sales rep, once you get into the door-to-door industry or anything that you do, right? It don't matter whether you're a salesperson, you do claims, you're an adjuster, it don't matter. It's about taking like full ownership of your own success, right? Meaning that it's nobody else's fault that you're not winning. You can blame that you ain't get the training. You could blame you don't got good leadership. Like, it's easy to find an excuse, right? So I've never met somebody who didn't find an excuse when they was looking for one. You know what I'm saying? I ain't never met nobody. Yeah, when you look for an excuse, you'll find one every time. So we encourage guys to take extreme ownership of your success, where you want to take your life and what you want to do with your sales career. So even if your company don't provide you with the tools that you need to be great, if you take extreme ownership of those things, you'll thrive regardless, right? And that's what I did. We had okay training. It was decent. It wasn't what I offer. I just made a decision to make sure that if I was going to win, it was on me, right? So it's a quote that I love, and it goes, the more people you need to make your dreams a reality, the less likely chance it'll happen. So we encourage guys, take extreme ownership. Like, it's nobody else's fault that you're not winning. You can either look out the window or you can look in the mirror. Yeah. Right. So we encourage guys to look in the mirror and grow the way they need to grow so they can sustain and experience the level of success that they have.
So with extreme ownership and moving past that, I saw something where you were speaking about consistency and discipline. So in our world, which our audience is, a lot of them are independent claims adjusters.
Love those guys, by the way. Love y'all.
So they make their own schedules. So can you tell them a little bit more about what you were saying about consistency, like have a day for this, have a day for that?
Mm-hmm. So obviously everybody know the importance of consistency and discipline, right? They know, right? But they don't do it. And the thing about it, that's why I always tell people, it's like, it don't matter what you know. It's all about what you do, right? So 2 biggest expenses in your life, right? The second biggest expense in your life is taxes, because you're always getting taxed. Sales tax, capital gain tax, property tax, death tax, you're always getting taxed. The most important thing, like the biggest expense in your life, is what you don't know, right? Now, the problem with most people is they know a lot of stuff, but they do a lot of nothing, right? You ever met somebody that know everything, but still broke, right? Like one of my homies said, he say, how you broke with all that philosophy? Like you know all of this stuff, but you broke. So when it comes to consistency and discipline, right? It's like consistency compounds. The reason why you got to embrace consistency, which is you got to take your feelings out of task and things that you need to do. The problem with most people, the reason why they're inconsistent is because their feelings make decisions for them. So if they feel good, they do it. They don't feel good, they don't do it. You know, I always tell people, I think 4 things run our universe: systems, formulas, principles, and feelings, right? Good systems that help you thrive. I always tell people, McDonald's, do they make the best burger? No, but I've never seen one go out of business. Formulas, H2O, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Even as an adjuster, y'all have formulas to get you to, answers. Then you got principles, right? Gravity, the law of entropy, the 80-20 rule. Like, those are all principles. And then you got feelings. And everybody knows what feelings are. And unfortunately, most people don't got systems, formulas, or principles in their life, but they got a lot of feelings. So the beauty of consistency is it helps your skill sets grow in a short amount of time, right? So if you're doing something every day, you'll grow faster than the guy that do it every now and then. You know what I mean? You can't beat the guy that's doing it every day if you do it occasionally. So when I got into the industry, we knocked doors 6 days a week, 4 hours a day for the first 4.5 years, 5 years, right? I was still getting 3 referrals a week, and I was still knocking doors 4 hours a day. I know people that get 2-3 referrals a week, and then they stop knocking. They're like, I got enough referrals, right? Also, what's the beauty of consistency? You're going to get opportunities that you shouldn't even get. Like, you shouldn't even run into some of the people that you run into. But since you're consistent, I'm a firm believer of the muse, right? Which is the unknown goddess that creates success for most people, right? The muse only blesses people who's in the arena. So it's like, you don't necessarily need to be inspired or motivated when it comes to success. But if you're consistent, the muse will inspire you. The muse will create opportunities for you just because you're consistent. And then the discipline. So the word discipline is derived from the word disciple. The word disciple means to give yourself to a person or a cause. So God had 12 disciples, right? And they were sold out to his cause, to his vision, to his dream, right? So their discipline came from them being sold out to something bigger than themselves, right? So that's how the disciples was able to ride with God. I tell sales reps, you have to get your discipline in order, because it's going to be days you don't want to do it. And when your motivation runs out, your discipline kicks in. And I'm a firm believer, first comes the action, then comes the motivation. Not that you get motivated, then take action. But if you go take action, the motivation will chase you. It'll find you, right? Like, you ever been home and you wake up one day and you just like kind of casually clean your bathroom? Well, possibly, right? But say you cleaned your bathroom and you already cleaned the bathroom, and you're like, I might as well clean the room. I done cleaned the room. You're like, I might as well clean the kitchen. Now you done cleaned the bathroom, you cleaned the room, you cleaned the kitchen. Not because you was motivated to wake up and clean. It's just because you did one thing and then the motivation caught up with you. Your discipline got to be very non-negotiable. And in our industry, right, where you have the freedom, which is, I think, what killed most people in our industry, you got to be a slave to your schedule and your discipline and not your feelings. So when you consistently show up day in and day out, and you discipline, meaning you do the things that you need to do, even when you don't feel like doing them, things will start to compound at a very high level.
Whoa, hang on. We've got to break in here. This episode is officially underwritten by Sketch My Roof. Let's be real. Every adjuster, roofer, and insurance carrier should have access to same-day measurements. Not next week, not when it's convenient, same day. All right, now back to the conversation. So what would you say are the top 3 things that a salesperson, door-to-door roofer, or somebody sending outbound emails, what can they do to get ahead of 10% of the people in their industry?
That's a really good question. Top three things you can do. And like you said, this has nothing to do with door-to-door sales. It's just what we do, right? And like I tell guys, a door don't have to necessarily be a physical door. A physical door can be stopping somebody in public. It can be, going to a business. It can be networking, because we all got a door in front of us. You got to knock it eventually, right? And then people open up, and then it create new opportunities. It just so happens we physically knock on doors. And a lot of people hit a door-to-door thing and they shut their mind off. Like the shirt I got on today, it say, door-to-door ain't dead, y'all just scared, right? So most people just scared of the doors. But top three things I can get them ahead of their competition, no matter what you're doing. The main focus is attacking the marketplace. The problem with most people, they passive with the marketplace. They wait for things to come to them. We just like to go. So first thing you can do, outread, outstudy everybody in your industry. The more you learn, the more you earn, right? So I read at least 2 to 3 books a month. I go to like 4 to 5 conferences a year. I get mentorship, I get coaching, I get guidance, right? I've learned that the more skills you acquire, the higher chance of success you got over your competition. Because most of the competition just like using what they innately have. But when you add things on top of that, you'll blow them out the water. So first thing, outstudy everybody. I always tell people, 80% of your time learning, growing, getting better. And then the 20% you go do your job, you'll blow everybody out of the water. Probably with most people, they spend 80% of their time doing their job, 20% of their time learning. And they wonder why it's a gap between their productivity. So out-learn your competition, out-study your competition, out-invest your competition. Second thing, I would say, be very intentional. Like, be very intentional with your time, your days, your schedules, your efforts, your energy, right? So for example, when it comes to door-to-door sales, let's just say any type of sales, right? Mm-hmm. We already have 3 to 4 neighborhoods ready to go before we leave our house, right? We're very intentional where we want to go. We know the size of the roofs. We know how much people make in the neighborhood. So we're very intentional where we go places. Because I always tell people, when you're not intentional, you'll accidentally end up places. Right? That's just how it works, right? People end up in accidental relationships. They have accidental kids. Like, they have all of these accidentals in their life because they're not intentional. So be very intentional, because where your intention goes, your attention follows. So out-invest everybody, out-study everybody. Be very intentional with the way you move, right? Every move should be effective. It should be moving you up, right? Third thing is literally outwork everybody else. Literally outwork everybody else. So Jordan B. Peterson, I love him, because you said 10% and it just stood out in my head, right? Jordan B. Peterson said professionals who work 10% longer than everybody else make 40% more money. Professionals that work 10% longer than other people make 40% more money. And the problem with most people in our industry, they got a very 9 to 5 mindset. You go from 9 to 5, then you're done. 9 to 5, then you're done. One of the principles we live by is we knock doors until the sun go down. It don't matter if it's 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. We out there until the sun go down. As an adjuster, you just grind until the sun go down. I know adjusters, if they only got 3 adjustments that day, like, they're done. And it's like, but after you're done with that day, why not go to maybe a few roofing companies and just pass out your business cards? Hey, how you doing? I do adjusters for these people, these people. If you ever see me in the field, let me know, blah, 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 right? Just to build the network, because now, depending on the way you do adjusting, right? They got homeowners that's in limbo. Mm-hmm. It might be an opportunity there, a synergy there. I don't know what it can be, but so those are 3 things. I would say outvest, outread, outstudy everybody else. Be very intentional with the way that you move, and just outwork everybody else. Just stay out there 10% longer.
And I also liked where you touched on an adjuster can stop by a roofing company and kind of give their business card out. The reason that stands out to me, I'm not sure if you're aware, but in the independent adjusting world right now, if you were to go in the groups on Facebook, they're all like crying that it's the end of the world. It's a slow season. They're not making any money. So one thing that we've been discussing this season of the podcast is what are things that adjusters can do to generate income. And if a roofer can, send you to some inspections and that could work out, that could definitely be another lane of income, right?
At least that's what I think. I don't know exactly how adjusters work, right? Because I know if you in-house, it's a little bit different than you being independent. But as an independent adjuster, if I don't have no like boundaries around me, I want to build a relationship with all the roofers, right? Because the independent adjuster world a little bit different than the in-house world, right? As an independent adjuster, we both looking for the same thing, which is legitimate damage, and we hope that it get paid for. So if I'm an adjuster and I know I do inspections or, adjustments for a certain insurance company, right? off rip, if I find a roofer that I like, I'm going to contact him. Hey, listen, man, this area, mainly this majority of insurance companies, I do a vast majority of these adjuster appointments. I've been in this neighborhood, this neighborhood, this neighborhood. They all got damage, legitimate damage. We paying for these roofs. So listen, what I would encourage you to do, work this area. If they got this specific insurance company, let them know that you know me. I come out here majority of the time. Let's make some money together. You know what I mean? Also, don't do no fraudulent stuff. Make sure everything legit, bro. Because if not, I can't rock with you. Like, I'm going to send you to jail. You know what I mean? Or whatever. But I think that's important because if we can tell people where the damage at, we can increase the productivity. Right? Because we as roofers, we on Hell Trace, all of these things looking for damage. Y'all getting called exactly to where it's at. So it's like, if you got some roofers in your pocket, hey, bro, this address, the damage legit. Get your team out there. I do a vast majority of the inspections out there. I got y'all.
Having relationships with roofers, especially when I was an adjuster, there was times where maybe a roof was too tall, my ladder couldn't reach it. I couldn't get Hancock or whoever out to help me get up on the roof, but if I had a relationship with the roofer in the area, they would come out, do ladder assist for me, help me get up there, maybe charge me something, for access, call it a day.
And then I think a layer deep is how many adjuster appointments that y'all run that a roofer not even been attached to. Like every appointment y'all run it because a roofer did an inspection and found damage. Sometimes these homeowners did it on their own. So now, if you got a roofer in your back pocket that you like, trust, and do good work, it's like, hey, you get to choose who you want as a homeowner, but these are the guys I trust. They legit, they do great work. They take care of all my other homeowners. I just want to bridge that gap for you. And you being the adjuster, as you know, most homeowners trust y'all. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a lot of synergy though.
Just so that I don't scare the carrier parts of our audience, there's definitely a preferred vendor network, is what he's talking about. A roofer can join the preferred vendor network, and that's somebody that, as an adjuster, we are able to recommend.
It's not just back pocket referrals. I agree with that. It is, you have to be a part of the network and it makes sense. Yes, ma'am. Because I've worked with a few contractors that are preferred vendors for certain insurance companies, and insurance company recommends that contractor to come and do the work.
Speaking of preferred vendors, for roofers, is that something that you typically promote for them to join those programs? Are they advantageous?
Yeah, I think if you could, I think it's very valuable to get on anybody's preferred vendor list as a whole. It gives you credibility. It gives you trust with the homeowner, because homeowners trust their insurance companies at a very high level. I have no idea why. Nothing against y'all. I'm just saying they do. And when the insurance company tells them something, they believe it like it's like law. Most of the time. Only thing that make them second guess it is if they've been through a horrible situation with their insurance company. If they haven't, they trust it like law. My insurance company told me to get 3 estimates. My insurance company told me to do this. So if they got a good relationship, I think the odds of you landing that deal through, preferred vendors is very high.
Awesome. Well, I definitely appreciate you taking the time to speak with me today. We're at the RCAT conference. How long have you been a member of the RCAT?
My business partner actually is a part of it. We've been there for like a year or two now. I do a lot of trainings in Texas, and it's the Wild Wild West of roofing. Like, you could just wake up tomorrow and start a roofing company. So I love what RCAT is doing and how they're trying to get it to the legislative to make licensing like a thing that you need to go through. Because I think it'll do 2 things. I was talking to a guy yesterday. I said, once they make licensing legit in Texas, it's going to be like Thanos and Endgame. They're going to snap their finger. Half the roofing company's going to die. Half of them going to die, which is good for the marketplace. I know it sounds crazy, but it's good for the marketplace because now the homeowners get to deal with the cream of the crop. The best of the best, right? And it'll just it'll make Texas a little bit more serious when it comes to like roofing. Cause some contractors out here, man, they cut corners at a very high level out here. And, whoever chucking a truck or whatever their name is, they work for a company, didn't go to the way they wanted to. So they wake up tomorrow and start a roofing company. Now you out here just like roofing people's houses and no longevity, no experience. You just want to make money. And I think with the licenses, because I'm from Florida, and licensing big where we at, like you got to pass these tests. And that's what always made the Florida market so beautiful, because you don't got to deal with the saturation of a bunch of unqualified roofers. You got to be legit out there. And I think once that becomes a nationwide thing, which I think it need to be nationwide, the roofing industry will grow at a tremendous level.
Awesome. So I've got two more questions before we wrap this up. So I did want to know whether it was for adjusters or anybody in sales, roofing door to door. What advice would you give someone who wants to increase their sales?
What advice would I give anybody that want to increase their sales? Focus on these three things. Chase your mastery, not the money. Chase your mastery, not the money. And most people in our industry chase money. And the thing about the way principles of this world work is anything you chase naturally runs from you. That's how it works, right? So we don't chase money. We chase hard work. We chase our mastery. We chase the things that will help us grow and make more money, right? You don't make more money by focusing on making more money. You make more money by, solving problems and getting better at your craft. So we tell people chase your self-awareness, right? And self-awareness is so many layers to it in the sense of like your facial expressions, the words that you use, your triggers, right? I always tell people, you want to trigger somebody, just text them, I need to talk to you. No context, just try it. Just text somebody, say, I need to talk to you. They body will clam up and everything because it's just like little triggers that get us going, right? So focus on your self-awareness, the words that you use, the tonality that you speak in, the speed at which you talk, right? Eye discipline, all of these things, self-awareness. After self-awareness, you focus on your self-discipline, right? Not too much access of anything is bad, right? You drink too much water, you'll die, right? So it's like have the self-discipline to cut things out of your life and to bring things in your life. Like every few months, you should be constantly doing some self-evaluating. We call it start, stop, and continue. What are things I need to start doing that I'm not doing to help me get closer to my goals? What are things I need to stop doing, keeping me further away from my goals? And what I need to continue to do and that's been working, right? So self-awareness, self-discipline. And then the last thing is personal growth. So you have to grow as an individual because this version of you ain't going to get you to where you want to be. It only got you this far, right? So now it's another version of you that you need to go meet, right? You need to go meet this next version of you so you can go to that next level in your life. So pursue your mastery, self-awareness, self-discipline, personal growth over chasing millions of dollars because the first million is the hardest to make, and I haven't made $1 million yet. We've made a couple $100,000s, a good amount of money, but we haven't made millions yet. And what I've learned through my own journey and growing and studying is the first million the hardest to make because you don't know who you need to be, right? But most people want to make $1 million because they want to figure out what they need to do. And it has nothing to do with what you need to do. It's everything about who you need to become. So when you chase your self-mastery, you become the person that you need to become in order to sustain the success that you have.
Where do people find you? How can they sign up for your program? How can they be mentored by you?
Yes, ma'am. So we easy to find. Anywhere you see the bow tie, you see this guy. I don't got it on today, but I usually wear my bow tie every single day. And in the business world, the bow tie represents excellence. So we easy to find Roof Hustlers. That's Roof, HUSTLERS. I'm on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook, right? Everywhere. Dashaun Bryant. That's D-A, not D-E. D-A-S-H-A-U-N. Last name Bryant, like Kobe. And the way you could do business with us, we easy to find. Best Hustler Academy, that's our online training platform where we constantly give salespeople ongoing training. If you're in the roofing industry, it's phenomenal. But if you're in sales in general, it's very beneficial. If you're interested in mentorship, I typically don't offer it because I only work with people who are extremely committed when it comes to mentorship. But if you're serious about your growth and you really want to take your game to the next level, you shoot me a DM on Roof Hustle. Say, I saw you on the Beyond the Sketch podcast. Love what you're talking about. Would love to get some mentorship and we can work something out. But I always tell people, my commitment here, if you meet me here, we can work magic, right? So I'm easy to find. Anyway, you see the bow tie, you see this guy, Roof Hustles on all platforms. And we on the verge of trying to get to 10,000 followers. So if you see this episode, you like what you heard today, please follow us because we got way more valuable content on our social media platforms.
You set this on fire. You gave very valuable information. I thank you for taking the time to speak with me today and to speak with our audience. I'm Brittany Harris. This is Beyond the Sketch. Big shout out to Dashaun Bryant. Find him, add him on IG, and he's also on YouTube with a lot of great information.
Thank you for having me.